And now the big question that I believe big entrepreneurs who are here with us and presented the project with us is asking is the following. What will happen with our project, with our idea in a year from now? Well, I believe that most of them will continue to work on the project and idea, and that idea would evolve a lot in a year. And now we are going to have a reference coming here. She asked herself the very same question a year ago. She was sitting where you are sitting. Now she continues to be an entrepreneur, and now she's just back from Rio de Janeiro. There she has just presented the prototype of a bicycle that will be used by the Olympic athletes to climb up the Kilimanjaro. Let's welcome Claudia. Hello everyone. First of all, I'd like to tell you that I'm extremely pleased to be here with you because I have a great memory about Think Big and my experience with it. Let me introduce myself. My name is Claudia, 26 years of age. I am an industrial design engineering. I can assure you that this is not what I wanted to become as a child, but I became as a child. Then I followed a master's course in biomedicine, and my hobbies are drawing and sports. I used to be a former basketball player, and now, because I cannot play basketball anymore after an injury, now I broadcast basketball games on the radio. This year I went to the Paralympics, and if I'm here, you go and say, well, what are you doing there? Are you a hyperactive person? Do you have hyperactivity issue? Well, my project started at university. We were sitting at the coffee bar, and we had the typical dreamers with us saying that they wanted to become like big designers for Audi, for Apple. They would end up with 3 homes, 4 yachts. Dreaming is very good. It's one of the few free things available to us. And then I asked myself, what type of designer do you want to become? And at that time, I realized that things had to be designed not only for them to be beautiful, but also to be helpful, as well as to improve people's life. And I started to think about that, or to see that, when my mom used to complain about pain in her shoulder after pushing the shopping cart. And once I remember that in my home there was a telecommand car, and then I added that command to the shopping cart, and then my mom doesn't have any pain anymore. Then I focused that onto universal design or inclusive design. And then Ellen Lapton said, think more, design less. I did my market research, and I could find that 100% of the world population were potential customers. And now I want to show you why you all need universal design. I want to prove that to you. So please stand up. Those of you wearing glasses, when you open the saucepan with boiling water, do your glasses get steamed? Okay, those of you that are left-handed, okay, and you have difficulties in writing, please sit down. Those of you who have ever broken an arm or a leg and needed help, please sit down. Those of you who at least once in the week you take care of someone who is dependent, please sit down. And those of you who are standing, surely you will reach, you will become old. By the time you will reach the third age, so to speak, you will design universal design of thinking. All right, so please, you all take a seat. And now, as I said, I did my market research, but I needed the how. And then my mother told me about Think Big. I didn't know what Think Big was about. I knew nothing about entrepreneurship. And I remember in phase 3, I had to find a potential customer with a need that I could resolve through industrial design. Then I wrote down a list of entities and I contacted them. But you know what happens when you contact a company, say an entrepreneur, and then they thought that I wanted to rip them off and that I was asking for money. And I told them, no, I just don't need money. I just need to plant a seed. They always gave me the same answer. We like your project, but at this point in time, we just don't have the money for it. They closed many doors for me, and some of them didn't even open the door for me. Do you know what happens when people close the door to you? You try to going through the window, and that's what I did. I continued in my efforts. I contacted one of the hospitals in Barcelona. They had a big pediatric unit, and they said that they liked my project, but they didn't have any money. Then I continued, I went on, and I could see that that hospital had a school for people with children with multiple, with special needs. Then I went there and I asked them about their needs, and they said, well, we need to have an area because the children cannot control the bladder, so they needed a specific potty for these children. And this is what they were using so far, just a potty, traditional one, supported on this platform. The children just sit there, and it may take some time before the children urinate, or therefore I decided to find a solution for that. In Spain, more than 20,000 children have multiple disabilities. Next, the foundation shared the need to have a special potty for these children. Chair that could be adjusted, hygienic, that could be personalized, that could be fitted in very many spaces and carry it away with you. They are not disabled. Only technology is disabled. These are some of the tests that we did with these children. These are some of the prototypes that we developed. This is a project that was very much liked by entities and families. So, well, if there are any investors in the room, I will be happy to give him my bank account number. And because I had a product already, I just needed to build a brand. And as I was thinking, the naming for it, once I typed in Google different Greek words and meaning, and when I found Soter, governor of all Greece, looking for the well-being of society and looking for the good of society. And I said, I have a name. After 3 weeks of thinking about the name, and I said, well, if you read it the other way around, then it means challenges. And then I said, well, great. Then I could see the need to set up a team. Last summer, I hired 2 people because it is very important to have a team, not only for them to work with you, but also to criticize what you do. They give you feedback. That feedback, that's what will make you grow or disappear. As I was building the first prototype of this party, a colleague from university told me that there was a Paralympic athlete that she has set herself, she has set out the objective of climbing up the Kilimanjaro. and this was Gemma's project. I will play a video. As you can see, this is a project that other than having a sports challenge, it was also an innovative and challenging project. I knew nothing about bicycles, but what I've learned at the time, I knew that interesting things always happen out of your comfort area. Then I decided to contact Gemma. We had a meeting, we liked each other, and I decided to start working with her and her team. In February, we started to think about adding innovations to Gemma's bike. She had a bike but was not ready to climb the Kilimanjaro. So we were invited to Rio to introduce our project. We worked for many days and nights and then we ended up in Rio. And it was very, very exciting for me to go to these Paralympics. Being an entrepreneur is really hard. I'm not going to tell you otherwise, but being an entrepreneur is also addictive, and that's why 1.5 months ago I decided to embark on a different project. This project is related to one of my passions and hobbies, which is drawing, and all comes from the fact that a few months ago some triathletes started or asked me to develop the corporate or to help them build the corporate image and brand. And then a friend of mine told me, why don't you open up a profile as a drawer? And then I gave it a thought, and the friend that I mentioned before was in one of my last basketball game that I played. I was injured in that game and I completely destroyed the cartilage in my knee, and knee cartilage never restored, never cured. That is also very painful, and this over time it becomes arthritis. And over time I've been meeting people with the same injury, and because there is no cure for it. And then I decided to embark on this project. The name I gave to it is I Draw Because This Is Curing for Me. Those who want to work make a small donation, a symbolic donation, and in return they get portraits of themselves. So we see some of the first solidarity portraits. I encourage you to participate, and I'm sure that you know some of them from last year. So I was saying that I love that those university colleagues that were dreamers, but actually you want to dream. If you can dream what you want to do, you will make it. A good entrepreneur has to be a dreamer, has to be perseverant, has to have a very open mind. No matter how many doors are closed, he should be ready to continue opening doors. And also curiosity. Curiosity is the driving engine. I am very curious, but I am very much afraid of hospitals. Every time I go to hospital, I try to look around and see what happens. That's why one day, from thinking, I decided that we could embark on a new line of work and to start working with hospitals. And that's why we have managed to have 3D printings of bones, so that doctors have this 3D printing before they go on to practicing surgery. And there are also other things that you can do in terms of design and hospitals. So in the US, it is mandatory for hospital rooms to have a bed and a bathroom, so that nurses, as they walk down the aisle, they can check on the patients. And then also, as an anecdote, I like to tell you that, well, getting lost in a hospital, that's very easy. A friend of mine who was working at a hospital around Barcelona, the following happened to her. She was at the hospital, and well, let me tell you that you can make it to that hospital by tube on the red line. So on one end of the line, you have the hospital stop. Now, one day, my friend, she was approached by a man. He asked her about the hospital, and then my friend answered, "Okay, you just travel until the end of the line to get you to the hospital." What was the color of the hospital of the line? Red. And then at the other end of the line, you get another hospital. So what I mean is that you have to make your design for all type of users, despite their capacity. This is one of the objectives of social entrepreneurship. I don't know what will happen in the future, but for sure I know that we will have to support social entrepreneurship, no matter how hard it is to become an entrepreneur. If you want to be a healthier, fairer and more competent society, this is the path to follow. And those of you who are here presenting your projects, first of all, I would like to congratulate you on your projects, and I just would like to share with you a statement that I wrote in my blog a month ago. You know that failing would have been not having tried it. Now, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, and the pathway that we follow is not a flat pathway, but no pathway that takes you to the summit of a mountain is never a flat pathway. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much, Claudia. That was great to have you here. Quite an honour. 1 year later, can you come over to the centre? We don't have time for questions, unfortunately, but would I ask you to shut your eyes for a minute? This is something I like to do when we do magical things occasionally. And I would like to somebody special to come up here. Somebody special for you.
Un fuerte aplauso.
A big applause for you. Big round of applause. Thank you very much.
Bueno, gracias. Esto también ha sido una sorpresa para...
That was a surprise for me, certainly. I've come to listen to you, and I arrived a bit late because parking is really difficult, and it's a bit of a Kilimanjaro just to park here. So it's great to be here. And so anyway, I was brought into this, so here I am, and I'm delighted to hear you. And it's true that we were connected up through a friend, and what the hashtag said this afternoon. Well, I don't know you, but I'd love to get to know you all, because I think Christina makes things happen. And I had a dream, when I was lying in a hospital bed, and I had nothing except an idea, a great idea, which was after 5 Olympic Games to go around the world and change my life and give myself an idea, be the first woman who climbed Kilimanjaro in a wheelchair. But it wasn't for the photo, it was because of everything that I could achieve on the way to Kilimanjaro. So we asked ourselves what needs there were. We needed a chair that would help us. Clàudia was in the midst of all this and helped us to get over lots of difficulties of rainforest, volcanoes, snow, and to help people like me, and also in situations where people live in rainforests, to help devices that help us to regulate our temperature, because of course we get colder because we're not moving around. This is one of the problems. Medical research, from medical examinations, we need a lot of technology. So I saw suddenly that on the one hand, of course, I was a sportswoman. I'd done this all my life, but at the same time, I was suddenly a social entrepreneur. So when I started to go to company and say I wanted to do this, as you said, nobody believed me. You're going to go climb up Kilimanjaro. I needed financing. I needed help. That's why I said, we want to help the lives of millions of people, because just there are lots of people in the world who need lots of help of this type. So people said, oh, you're going to climb Kilimanjaro, I bet. But you had to start, so I had to make it possible, as the hashtag said. So sometimes the hardest thing is to just start off, to take the first step, and then the rest is easier. And there were companies that didn't want to help me, or it was really hard, So I said to myself, well, to do this, what we need is people, human beings. If we connect, as we've done for people, Clàudia, Jordi, Duke, and myself, we did this through the social networks, and we really believed in this challenge, and we decided we mustn't give up. And we've now gone through the first phase, which is the first prototype, and we presented this in Rio in the Olympic Games. The president of the Olympic committee knows me, and thought the project was great, because sport is a social thing. So we've reached the first dream, the first stage, which is to look at solutions in a prototype. And now we're in the next stage, and we have to get going and get the financing to be able to industrialize this, this challenge is not just a question of me getting to the top of Kilimanjaro. If we do achieve this, you can all achieve your objectives. And there's a lot of collaborative spirit, a lot of enthusiasm, a great dream, and I'm not going to give up ever, because I play fencing. I do fencing, and I have. You've heard from another player who was talking about this. We adore fencing, and I've got a sword as well, and having a sword is very important, because I get up and I say to myself, fight for what you believe in, and it doesn't matter if it's difficult, because if you don't give up, your dreams will come true, and all the greater the victory, if you don't give up. Thank you for this. Thank you. Clàudia, thank you for taking up the challenge.
Muchísimas gracias.